I just had an idea, an idea that was in my mind about RV life, RV living, and stuff like that. I mean, it's just the idea. Hello, my Jordan. Good to see you. I guess it's just the idea. Living in an RV life. I've been thinking about going to, getting a travel trailer. Maybe I would keep the little truck camper, but for me at this point in time, for me, it's just not practical. I don't know. I mean, big RVs cost a lot of money, and something that uses a lot of gas. How are you? I mean, living in a van or a motorhome in a. I mean, the idea of living in a parking lot, the idea of living in a parking lot is the idea. You got everything you own crammed into the back of a vehicle. A truck or an RV, and you're in a parking lot, and you got everything you own crammed into the back of that. To me, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and I might do it sometime. It's just a lot of, yeah. I don't think I need an RV, but also it's just the idea that you have everything you own in the back of a vehicle driving around. Seems, I don't know, and in my mind it just seems kind of I have a lot of stuff, and I don't think I can get rid of all my stuff. I just don't think it's as practical. I've got the property, and I bought the property with the idea that I would live there, and be on the property and, have a place to live, or, whether it's property or in someone's driveway or a place to rent somewhere, just a place to stay at with a small travel trailer would actually have more room than the truck camper. And I've got the big truck camper, but the big truck camper, I mean, really it can be hauled on a 3/4 ton, but really it would be best on a 1 ton, because the thing that I always think about is you're always getting more stuff, and it's hard to not get more stuff, you know. To continuously get more, I'm going to get stuff, but constantly getting more and buying more stuff, it's hard to keep the weight, down. It's hard to be so strict with the weight that's in your truck, camper, or van, RV. I mean, if I could live in a camper van, I would live in a camper van, but if I have enough space, but I'm always worried about the concept of driving the vehicle and then it wears out mechanically, and I'm going to have to replace the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing, is the concept of having to replace the vehicle when it wears out. I know there's a lot of good vans, but people eventually wear them out and they have to replace the vehicle. I was thinking, boondocking is good, but, hey, Super Cereal. Oh, that's pretty cool, your Uncle Bill, Mike Jordan. Yeah, I'm sure that was really cool. And you probably good memories growing up. So, it's just the idea that, you know, traveling as a kid and the camper attachment. And there's camper shells. If I wanted to boondock, I could even pull a travel trailer with a van. Have a van to boondock camp in, or an SUV, and then have the trailer. Just the idea, in a lot of ways, I'm thinking that a travel trailer would actually be more practical, than a truck camper, a travel trailer. Not a really big one. travel trailer, but just something about 20 feet or less, maybe 18 feet or 20 feet, something like that. Something just big enough to have a bed. You can sit up in the bed. You don't just have to worry about having a bunk cab over a bed. You have an actual bed area. You can sit up in your bed, watch TV. Have maybe a shelving unit on the end of the bed, um, like for DVDs or whatever like that. You got your couch to sit in, and you got more space at the bottom where the cutouts for the truck bed are not at. So you've got more space. But one thing, if I have a 3/4 ton pickup, and I'm gonna max out my payload. If I'm gonna hold a big truck camper, I'm gonna be close to maxing out the payload of my pickup. A lot of people that are maxing out the weight of their trucks have to get airbags and even frame-mounted tie-downs. Things like frame-mounted tie-downs to tie the truck camper down to, and the airbags to go for the suspension. These things actually cost money. This stuff costs over $1,000 in attachments, and if you get a truck with a small travel trailer, you're not going to need anything expensive like weight distribution or anything. A lot of trucks already have trailer brake hookups and everything. That's the point. That's the issue. Is I'm thinking that trailers, a trailer is going to be a good option because, I've been talking all this time about boondocking and all this parking lot stuff and traveling, but if I don't travel in my RV, there are a lot of people who live stationary in RVs. They live stationary. And I've been staying in my camper a lot, on my mom's property here. And even on the property, you know. I've been using the camper just about every day for the past 6 years. Past 5 years, I've been using my camper every day. I've been in my camper every single day. I've been in there every day. Staying in it, sleeping in it, camping, hanging out. I have been using my camper a heck of a lot. Air conditioner has been used a lot. The furnace has been used a lot. I've got a lot of use out of my truck camper, my little truck camper. The little one that I rebuilt, 5.5, 6 years ago. So I've got a lot of use out of it. Just using it like an in-law unit. You know what I mean? Like an in-law unit. Like like a thing like that. So I guess my thing right now with RVing is the what you call stationary RV living, which actually is a thing. And you go to a piece of property, you set it up, put underpinning around your trailer, stay there, park it in someone's driveway, wherever, beside someone's house, plug up to the electric, and stay there for a while and then move on. You're just staying somewhere for longer periods of time, and you can park your trailer anywhere, just as long as it's kind of out of sight or whatever. Basically, the idea of wanting to boondock and do the van life thing and the parking lot thing, like Coates 9500 and all this, I'd been planning on doing that in the truck camper, but I've never actually done it. I've been saying I'm going to do it, but traveling and being on the road. But right now I've got a job, and I'm working at a job, and stuff like that, working somewhere. And I've been working somewhere. I've been working somewhere at a job, and so working at a job, working somewhere, and stuff like that. And so working at an actual job, living that kind of life is just it's not something I'm going to really be doing in any time soon. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool setup, Mike. Jordan. Was that like a truck shell, like a topper camper shell, Mike Jordan? Was that a topper, or was that like a camper shell, or was that like a truck camper, like my truck camper? But I know that you started adding a lot of expensive attachments. Expensive airbag shocks and all this air springs, sway bar, all this expensive stuff is going to cost a lot of money, and you don't need to do that if you're not going to travel and stuff. If you're just going to be stationary or use it as a, you know, a just a way to have your personal space. A lot of people that live in houses have a personal space. They have their RV for their personal space, just a getaway. A place to get away and go out to the camper and do their own thing. A lot of people do that. It's just a man cave or a she shed or whatever like that. It's just people live in a house together. People are gonna want to, maybe an RV to take it somewhere, or anything, take it somewhere to a campground. But something that's a big, heavy, a setup with all this expensive attachments onto a truck camper, is I like to have my second vehicle. I like to have my pickup truck as a second vehicle that I can actually drive. I like my truck to be able to be a second vehicle that I can drive as a spare car. And that's the reason I like truck campers or trailers. It's, a van or something, if you have it, it's got to be able to be something small enough, not like a motorhome. It's got to be small enough to you be able to drive it to your job or drive it as a spare vehicle. You have to be able to drive it as a spare vehicle. And that's the only bad thing about truck campers is you have it on your truck. It doesn't drive like a normal pickup truck. It's going to sway and stuff a little bit, wobble. It's going to be wobbly, like something that feels overloaded or top heavy. And you got to go around corners slow. You've got to go slow around corners. You can't just drive it. I can't drive it like the Honda, you know. I can't drive it like I drive the Honda. I drive the Honda. The Honda is fun to drive. I enjoy the Honda. But I can't drive it like I drive the Honda because the Honda is a small car and I drive it, it takes, when you drive the Honda, when I drive the Honda, it's a car. It's a small car. But, and I enjoy driving something that's easy to handle on the road. I enjoy driving a vehicle that's easy to handle on the road. I don't like driving something that's big and oversized that feels like a 1970s F-250. Oh, okay, Mike Jordan. Yeah, those vehicles are, people like those little pickups nowadays. If you had that today, that truck, it would probably be worth some money for sure. What kind of a camper shelter do you have on it? Was that a topper or was it like a slide-in camper? I know, I know when I was a little kid, people used to have the toppers, the old-fashioned metal truck bed topper camper shells, like the toppers, and it just has a window thing that you flip up in the back, the window that flips up in the back, and the kids crawl in the back of it. You can put a mattress in the back of it and go on trips or whatever and sleep in it. People would sleep in those camper shells, those toppers and stuff. It's an economical way to travel if you're just gonna be traveling. It's stealth too. I've seen a lot of people online that have these camper shells and they have a setup in the back of a camper shell topper. They can sleep in it. People have done that. But you don't have to have a whole truck slide-in camper if you're not going to be living in it. If you're just going to be, boondocking and going into town and sleeping in them, overnight and stuff like that. You don't need something that complicated as a slide-in camper. Because it takes a whole lot. The slide-in camper, the little camper is enough for my pickup. The little camper is enough because, it's not going to max out the payload of my truck. It's fine. Oh, okay, like I have. Okay, like Jordan, I understand. Yeah, I like my little truck camper. I like my little one. And I just don't think I need the big camper because it's going to come closer to maxing out the weight of the truck, you know. And people say, get a 1-ton dually. And those are expensive, Those cost a lot of money. And I really am poor, at least right now. I don't have the money for a dually. You're not going to find a good one cheap, a dually or 1-ton. Especially not a dually. Those are not going to be found, cheap and affordable. So, I mean, my truck is a 3/4. I think I should just stick with the small camper because it's economical and affordable. It's what I can afford, I guess. It's small, so I don't want to max out the payload of my pickup. And so I've decided to put my big truck camper up for sale. I've decided to put it up for sale, and I put it up for sale, the big truck camper, and try to get out of it what it's worth. Try not to waste my money. I really didn't need to go up to Ohio and buy that big truck camper. There's no sense in going up to Ohio and buying that big truck camper. I mean, I wasted my money. There was no sense in going up there and buying that. I don't need 2 truck campers. I mean, I thought, I made a mistake, I guess. Just to have what I've got and keep it. I'd like to go to a travel trailer, but I like boondocking, and if you live in the city somewhere, if I lived in a house in the city or in an apartment, I could still keep my truck camper because it's not that big. I could have it on my truck, but a trailer I couldn't. But I mean, I decided to do the van life thing before I got the property. Before I got the property. But that's the thing is, we always have to watch the weight of our trucks and stuff. What our trucks can handle, what our trucks can handle as far as payload and being able to haul it, to be able to haul the camper, to be able to haul the truck camper. I mean, that's the biggest part of it is being able to haul it. I mean, a 3/4 ton truck only has so much payload. It only has so much payload. So much payload. So, and if you get the biggest truck camper you can find for your truck, you're going to be maxing out the payload, and you're going to want to get a sway bar and airbags and blah blah blah. It's gonna be more. There's gonna be more to it. It's gonna be more involved, more expensive, and it's gonna be like a money pit because there's more and more things that you need to add to it and stuff like that to add up and add to it. So I don't want to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, with a bigger setup. I just want to get to a point where I've got this and this is what I want to have. It seems like that's what a lot of older people do. Older people get satisfied with what they've got. It's like I've got this and I'm happy with it. And so, well, now I'm officially 51 years old. I'm officially 51. And so, look forward to being 51. Now I actually am 51 years old. But there is a YouTuber I've been watching, and her name is Gypsy Jenna. Gypsy Jenna. And I've been watching Gypsy Jenna, and she has a travel trailer, and she has it parked on a piece of land, and she's got a roof over it, built over it, and it's stationary. She doesn't go anywhere, but she lives stationary in her travel trailer. She's got solar, and it's off-grid, and she's got solar and everything, so it's pretty cool that Her setup is cool. And on the property, I can get the RV pole. I can actually get an RV power pole pretty cheap, you know. I've got a septic tank. I've got a water hookup. I can have the water turned on, you know. And I've got, the septic tank, the water, get the RV pole, and I can just get my travel trailer and plug it right in and put underpinning around it, you know. Presto. It's a great way to do stuff. That's exactly it, you know. But yeah, that's what we want to do. So, different lifestyles, I guess, that, living in an RV life, if I'm going to do a van or a truck camper or a motorhome, I can drive it around. I've been thinking about that. But, but for the life I'm living right now, I think that a travel trailer would be best. You've got more space than a truck camper. You can hook it up. You don't need airbags and all this stuff, to haul the truck camper. And it's an involved process to unload a truck camper. It's not easy. Unloading a truck camper is not an easy thing to do. It's hard. Unloading a truck camper is difficult. And it has to be on level ground. Unloading the truck camper has to be on level ground. And it just has to be on level ground. A big truck camper turned over on the property because of some complication, and you raise it way up. It's a big thing to unload a truck camper. Well, you could get a newer one with electric jacks and everything like that. That's a good thing, but if it rots out in the corners rot out on that truck camper, the jacks can pull away from the camper and it can turn over. Basically, there's more to go wrong. Yeah, I like those vans like that. Yeah, those are nice. A Dodge van with a kitchen and a little table. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'd like to have a van. I'd like to have a van. I think boondocking and stuff, a van would be the best because, it blends in on the streets. Vans do, and I could drive it as a spare vehicle, or just travel and stay in it. I guess it's the less complex idea. I guess the van is really the less complex solution. But the main thing is they do blend in on the streets. Vans do. But yeah, being 51 years old, I guess time has gone by. Mike Jordan. I saw I think was it on Facebook, your Plymouth video about the Plymouths and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I always liked the Christine movies. The Christine movie. And so there's a guy on. There's a couple of people on YouTube with YouTube channels redoing these Plymouths, like the Christine car. And one particular guy that I've been watching. Being out on the streets in a vehicle, in a van or an RV, boondocking, in a vehicle. I've never really lived van life before. If I was out on the streets living van life and I really didn't have anywhere to go and I broke down, a vehicle broke down, you know, I think it would be kind of scary. Just the idea that your vehicle was broke down and you were stuck somewhere on the side of the road with nowhere to go. I mean, you would have to get a motel, but you would be stuck out on the streets with nowhere to go. You can't go back home because your vehicle is your home, and you're parked on the streets in your vehicle, and it's like you're out on the streets in the vehicle, and you don't have nowhere to go. You have to get a motel and go to any local mechanic, to have the van dropped off at a mechanic's garage and stuff like that. So that would actually be it would just be an uncomfortable feeling. It would be an uncomfortable feeling. It would be an uncomfortable feeling. It would be an uncomfortable feeling, being out on the streets, living van life, and then, your vehicle breaks down on you. Yeah, parking lot. What are you going to do when your vehicle breaks down? What are you going to do if your vehicle breaks down? And it's just you're stuck. I know you can get but you have to rely on the public. You have to rely on the public. You have to rely